In this video, we will describe the minimum flight hour requirements to obtain a private pilot license in the United States. The information here is found in the Federal Aviation Regulations, often called the FAR, Part 61.109. This section contains all of the minimum requirements for pilot certification. Student pilots are required to become familiar with the relevant portions of this chapter. The regulations state that a student pilot applying to become a private pilot needs to have a minimum of 40 flight hours. This experience is recorded in a logbook that is signed by a qualified instructor. The 40 hours of total flight time consists of both dual hours and solo hours. The dual is the name given to flight time obtained while you're receiving instruction. It is called dual because there are two people in the aircraft, you and your instructor. Solo time is the name given to flight time obtained while you are alone in the aircraft. To fly solo, you must demonstrate to your instructor the ability to safely operate the aircraft by yourself. These are the dual and solo requirements to obtain your license. They do not happen in the same order shown here. Rather, they are obtained through a mix of activities during training. You must accumulate, by the time you apply for your license, hours that include these minimum experiences. You need to have a minimum of 20 hours of training from a certified flight instructor. The 20 hours must include all of the following: 3 hours of cross-country flight, 3 hours of night flight that includes 1 cross-country flight over 100 nautical miles and 10 takeoffs and landings to a full stop, 3 hours of flight by only reference to the instruments, and 3 hours of flight training prior to the certification exam. In addition to the hours you log with your instructor, you must also have a minimum of 10 hours of solo flight. The 10 hours of solo flight must include all of the following: 5 hours of cross-country flying, 1 solo cross-country, which is at least 150 nautical miles in total distance, with one segment being at least 50 nautical miles long, and 3 takeoffs and landings at an airport with a functioning control tower. Let me explain a few terms listed here to help with your knowledge. To meet the requirement for cross-country flight, you must fly to and land at an airport that is greater than 50 nautical miles away from your departure airport. Flights of greater than 50 nautical miles away from your departure airport are considered cross-country. Flight by reference to instruments means you are controlling the aircraft with no outside reference. This is to simulate what would happen if you fly into a cloud by accident. This kind of training is only allowed when you are with your instructor or another qualified pilot. Your instructor will give you a device that obstructs your view. This kind of flying can be difficult and disorienting, which is why it is practiced during your training. The last notation relates to solo flight. To be able to fly solo, you must pass an exam and demonstrate exceptional knowledge and control of your aircraft. Your instructor then endorses your student pilot license. Obtaining this endorsement from your instructor is often the end of the first phase of pilot training. Keep in mind that the hours mentioned thus far are only a legal minimum. Most pilots actually have an average of 60 hours when they successfully obtain their private pilot license. When reviewing flight schools, keep this in mind. Schools will often only quote the minimum hours in their pricing. We hope you found this information helpful, and we look forward to speaking to you online.